Hashem, Yosef, Yosef, he's finishing Masechet Ktubot. Masechet Ktubot, we all know, just for myself, to remind myself what it is. I was once in the yeshiva also. It's called Shas Katan. It's a mid-sized Shas, meaning you are about to touch, and when you do Masechet Ktubot, you're doing pretty much the entire Shas, the whole Gemara, because it touches everything. And it's a very, very, as I say, Kishmak Masechet is something exciting to learn. It's a long-lasting Masechet also. You have to put your heart and soul. Baruch Hashem, Yosef doesn't give up. He moves forward. We can't wait for your book to be printed, Bezrat Hashem, the final stage. And we get something at the end, Bezrat Hashem, we're hoping for. So we'd like to wish, first of all, before I wish Mazel Tov, I'd like to give him the mic for him to do the Siyum. We've been waiting for Rabbi Davidov to come. I do believe, I sensed him walking in. He's somewhere around here, Baruch Hashem. Okay, okay, he's here. Abraham is here. Okay, now we can start for sure. Bechavod.
Thank you, Rabbi. B'shut Harav, b'shut Kal Kadosh. We're going to finish B'zat Hashem Masechet Ktubot. It's going to be the Mishmat. Rav Shaya, and also the Mishmat. Rav Zechaya Wallerstein Zatzal as well, who we just lost recently. And Kol Niftarim Gam Kenan. I don't want to get carried away here. So the end of Masechet Ktubot, like the Rav said, it touches upon so many different topics. Baruch Hashem, this was a journey that we started with a different group, I think about 5 years ago, 5 or so years ago. And there was a lot of breaks in between, but in the last year or so, I pushed. And Baruch Hashem, we got to the end. And the end of the Masechet speaks about the times of Mashiach. And it speaks about the praises of Eretz Yisrael, the amazing produce that it could produce. And it gives many different examples. It talks about, and for example, I'll give you a couple of examples. It says, based on Pesukim in the Torah, prophetic Pesukim, that when Mashiach comes in Eretz Yisrael, when there's going to grow grapevines over there, your vineyard, you're going to take one grape, it's going to be the size of a barrel. One grape, you're going to come home, and then you're going to just open the grape, cut it open, and wine, beautiful, amazing wine is going to be coming out. You don't have to go through the hassle of all the steps of making wine, crushing it, collecting it. You're just going to open the grape, and it's going to be wine. Same thing with the wheat. Wheat is going to be trees reaching up to the heavens, it says in the Gemara. Wheat. It's going to be trees all the way up to the heavens, and you don't have to go through all the steps of collecting it and grinding it and doing borer and all the different steps. Rather, what's going to happen? Hashem is going to send a strong wind, and the wind is going to make flakes of solid, fine flour fall from these trees. And you're going to go and pick up with your hand, one handful, and it's going to be enough for you and your entire family, says the Gemara. These kind of amazing things. But then the Gemara says, Al titmah. Don't be so surprised. Don't think this is some fairy tale. Why? Because we've had situations, says the Chachamim, amongst ourselves in Eretz Yisrael, of similar situations. We've already seen close enough things. And then it gives many examples. One of those examples I want to just tell you, it's on page Kuf Yud Aleph Amud Bet 111b, a page before, and then I'll finish up the Gemara. Over there it says an amazing story related to what we just said. And it gives us very strong chizuk and an important topic that we all need chizuk on. It says the Gemara, Kuf Yud Aleph Bet Amud Bet on the bottom over there. Rav Chia bar Ada, Makre Dardeke Derbish Lakish. Rav Chia bar Ada, a certain chacham, he used to teach the children of Rish Lakish, another huge chacham in the Gemara. He taught his kids Torah. Ipagar telata yome beno ata. It says all of a sudden, 3 days came, 3 days passed, and he didn't come. He didn't show up to teach Torah for 3 days. Ki ata, once he finally came, Amale, Rish Lakish says to him, Amay pagat, Chishu, what happened? You have to teach Torah, why are you not here? Amale, he answered him, Dalit achat hiniach li abba. My father left for me an inheritance, one dalit. Dalit is a word that means basically a vine, grapevine. They call it dalit from the word lidlot, which means to lay down on. Because when you grow grapevines, they usually put it on something to grow on.
Trellis.
It's called a trellis, exactly. So whoever did the Mishnayot recently knows that it's called a trellis. I was talking about it in Masechet Kinayim. Right? So he told him, he left me one grapevine, my father. And what happened? I harvested the grapes from there, Yom Rishon, the first day that I missed teaching. 300 eshkolot, 300 clusters of grapes from one grapevine. This is a real story. It's not something that's going to be in times of Masechet. It's something that actually happens in the Gemara. 300 clusters, that's an amazing number. Eshkol legarav. Each cluster, I was able to extract one garav, which Rashi says is a se'ah, which for our days, how much is it? 3 to 5 gallons, more or less? 3 to 5 gallons of wine per cluster. 300 clusters, how many gallons is that? A lot. Call it se'ah. How many se'ah? 300 se'ah, basically, of wine from one day of growth. What happened? Yom Shini, the next day, the second day that I missed teaching, he says, Batzarti 300 eshkolot. Again, the grapevine produced 300 clusters of grapes. Shtei eshkolot legarav. Only this time, it took me 2 clusters to make one se'ah. 2 clusters instead of 1 cluster. So how many se'ah is that now on the second day? 150. Still an amazing number. Still a miraculous number for one grapevine. Fine. Yom Shlishi, the third day, says what happened. Batzarti mimena 300 eshkolot. Again, 300 clusters of grapes grew. But this time what happened? 3 eshkolot legarav. This time it took 3 clusters of grapes to make one se'ah. How many se'ah is that of wine? 100. So it went from 300 to 150 to 100. Still, like we said, an amazing, miraculous number. But either way, this was his excuse. This is why I didn't come to teach. What happened? He says, even more so, even more than half of it, I left. I made it ownerless, which means he gave it to tzedakah. He didn't keep all of it. He's not trying to say that I'm, greedy and I kept all for myself. I kept a lot, I made a good parnasah, but half of it, more than half of it, I gave away also. Don't worry about it. Amalei Rish Lakish says to him a very strong line. He says, if you did not delay, which means if you still came and taught Torah like you're supposed to, you would have made more wine. You would have had even more wine. Rashi says on the spot, what does it mean? Because you saw, what did you see? Every day of the 3 days, the amount of wine you were extracting was going down. More and more. Why did that happen, says Rashi? This is the punishment you get for Bitul Torah. You understand? So, Rabotai, what I'm trying to show here is the following.
All those minutes you miss out running out of class.
Exactly. Which means sometimes Hashem tests us like this. Because we have to understand, Rav Kiya Bar Ada, what was his mindset, his thought process through this? He's also thinking to come. He understands Bitul Torah is a big no-no. He understands that. So why didn't he come? We have to try to figure out what he was thinking. You could say that he was thinking the following. Perhaps he was thinking, Hashem is giving me such an amazing opportunity to make so much money right now. This doesn't come every day. 300 clusters from one grapevine is something unusual. Or, apply it to your business, whatever your business is. You have those one day out of the year where it seems like there's an amazing opportunity, and you feel like I have to go and work hard that whole day and collect everything. Why? Because you're rationalizing. You think, let me collect this huge money today so that later on in the future I'll have more time to learn Torah, I won't have to work as much. That's what we think. Rish Lakish tells them, no, this is a test. You missed it. You missed the boat. Why? Because the point is, if you still, there's no excuse to miss Torah. There's no excuse. And if you came and taught like you were supposed to, whatever money you thought you were going to make, you would have made more. Because remember, no matter how much you make, it's all in God's hands. Baruch Hu counts your money, not you. And that's the point he was telling him here. And then I'll give you one more hint. Says the Ben Yehoyada, the Ben Ishai commentary on this Gemara. He says, how do you know it was because he missed teaching? That's why the money went down, the amount of wine went down every day. He says, because he has a question. Day 1 was 300 se'ah. Day 2 was 150. Day 3 was 100. If you do the math, from day 1 to day 2, how much did it go down, percentage-wise? 50%. From day 2 to day 3, how much was it? 33%. Good job, Mike. It was not 50%, meaning the trend was broken. It was different. Why was it like that, he asks? Shouldn't it have been the same? Because he did the same sin both days. Both days he missed Torah, right? So why the first day went down 50, the second day went down 33%? The answer is because he wanted to give him a hint from Shamayim. he wanted to give him the hint of the letters of the alphabet, which each one represents a number, in a sequential order. Aleph, then Bet, and Gimel, right? Day 1 was 1, day 2 was 50, and then 30%, Aleph, Bet, and Gimel. Why? Because the letters of the Torah are what make up the Torah. And what's more of a hint on that? What was the name of the trellis, Netano? The name of the wine? Of the grapevine, I'm sorry? A Dalit. Dalit. Dalit, Lamed, Yud, Taf. Same letters as the letter Dalit. Which means it's part of the same sequential order. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalit. Which means it's hinting at the order of the letters of the Torah. Because he missed teaching those letters, teaching what the Torah represents to those letters, he got punished. He said that. Now for the end of the Gemara, last line over here to do Siyum. It says like this. Amar Avchia Barashi, Amar Rav. Avchia Barashi says in the name of Rav, Atidin in the future, Kol Ilanei Serak Shebe'eretz Yisrael, all of the trees in Eretz Yisrael that are not fruit producing, that do not produce fruit now, Anu Perot, they will be loaded with fruits in the future. Shneimar, as it says in the pasuk, Ki etz nasa perio, because the tree has made its fruit. Te'enav gefen natnu chelam, and the grapevine and the fig tree gave their wealth and their fruits. Which means, from the Rashi explains that since the end of the verse says Te'enav gefen, it gives you the exact types of fruits there are. Then what does the word etz in the beginning of the verse mean? So over there, Rashi says the beginning of the verse when it says etz is talking about a non-fruit producing tree now. Etz serak. Even that kind of tree is going to give its fruit, says the pasuk. The Ben Ish Chai says on that, just to connect it finally, what's the connection? He says that people are also called a tree. It says in the Torah, Ki ha'adam etz hasadeh. A man is a tree of the field. And there's many different deep connections with that, but the point is here, he's trying to say that in the future there's not going to be any people who are not fruit producing. What does it mean, fruit producing? Fruit producing means people that learn Torah and make mitzvot. Those are the fruits of your labor in this world, in this life. So in the future, if you want to be there, basically, you have to be somebody who's learning Torah and making mitzvot. And then, even those who are Amei Haaretz, who are not fruit producing, they will be in that time, Ezrat Hashem, that is Davo. Hadran alach, Shnei Dayanei Gezerot, Uslika la Masechet Ktubot. Okay? Hadran alach Masechet Ktubot, V'hadra chalan. Datan alach Masechet Ktubot, Data chalan. Lan Neshem minach, Masechet Ktubot, Lan Neshem minan. La ba'alma hadin, la ba'alma dat hadran alach Masechet Ktubot, V'hadra chalan. Datan alach Masechet Ktubot, V'data chalan. Lan Neshem minach, Masechet Ktubot, V'lan Neshem minan. Lo ba'alma hadin, V'la ba'alma hadat hadran.